Hi again, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Doug Kaufman with Tomorrow's Technician with another great interview with another great instructor. To continue our Instructor of the Year program for 2022-2023, we headed down to Madison, Mississippi to speak with Dale McCraw, automotive instructor at the Madison Career and Technology Center, part of the Madison County School District. Dale says he's happy to have been able to combine his love of cars with his desire to teach for nearly 40 years, but he's most proud of helping to destigmatize the image of the industry. He credits a great partnership with his administration and fellow teachers, as well as real understanding from his classes that he's helping to prepare them for the future. He works hard to impress upon them an attitude of honesty, acceptance, and safety, and for that, we salute Dale McCraw as our December finalist in the Blaster Tomorrow's Technician Instructor of the Year program. Let's hear his story.
Started out talking about my history in the industry, which actually started when I was pretty young. I always liked cars and had a passion for them. And like a lot of us, we started out, fixing the toaster and things like that, and without even really having a background in it, and moved to bicycles and lawnmowers and then my own cars. And of course, as old as I am, we started repairing cars in the ditches because they were mechanical and we couldn't afford to pay somebody to do it. And then as a professional, I started working at Dixie Hydraulic down in Jackson, Mississippi I actually started out pretty light on grease pumps, battery chargers, and paint guns, stuff like that. Moved up into air compressors, and I worked there for a couple years. Later on, I moved to Missouri, and I started working at a small garage. Worked my way, I was going to college and was using that to pay for college. So I worked a lot at night as a mechanic, which is weird. And then I moved to a Ford dealership where I worked. And while working there, the job of auto instructor at the local high school came open. And I was going to college to be a teacher, and I thought, hey, that'll be a great mix for me where I can actually be in a classroom but still work on cars. I thought it was just the greatest thing ever. The first day I taught, I had all my stuff laid out for 3 hours, and 30 minutes I'd used up my material, and I was pretty like, wow, this is hard. I was at that high school for 18 years. Back then you did a lot to supplement your income, so I drove a bus full time, did the announcing at ball games, helped coach, and we did floats and parades and all that stuff, and the auto tech classes. That program was closed, and I luckily immediately got a job in Cape Girardeau where I was at a large career center with 10 sending schools. Became ASE certified at that school. I taught in an ASE certified program. It was an AST program, and taught there for till I got 25 years in the industry and retired, and then came back home to Mississippi. I've been here, this is my 14th year. So 39 years at this point, I've been teaching automotive, and honestly feel blessed to have been able to do it, have loved doing it, and still have a passion for it. Look for new ways to improve as a teacher, as a mentor, and as an example to my students every chance I get. My personal accomplishments in the industry, I'm an ASE master technician. I had my advanced level L1 diesel. I also am a non-active ETL program evaluator. I was the ACTE president for a couple years in Mississippi, was the ACT Teacher of the Year for the state. Been the Teacher of the Year here 2013, 17, and 2020. I was actually the Teacher of the Year for the school district in 2018, which is kind of a big deal because you don't see a lot of vocational or technical instructors get that. I also am only the second instructor in the history of Mississippi to become a nationally board certified teacher. I've had to go from points and condensers to now up to very complex can systems and direct injection. So it's been a long journey, but I've enjoyed the ride. I've been lucky. I've had a few accolades. The most important ones to me, to be honest, are the ones that my students have made, which is going to Skills USA State and winning that, going to nationals a couple of times. Toyota put on a program here 2 years ago. Our students won first place 2 out of 3 years. We're scheduled to go to New York and compete nationally when COVID hit, so got the kibosh put on that. But been very blessed in this industry, always looking to be a better instructor, always looking to be more technically savvy. Really enjoyed doing it. Really enjoyed the ride, and it's been a journey. What led me to teaching was just, I had a passion for sharing. I came from a pretty rough childhood, and so I felt like I could relate to a lot of kids and maybe help some people along the way. A much harder job than you think it is when you take it on. Probably wasn't that great at it for a long time. Not lack of effort, more lack of ability or training or whatever you want to say. Kind of back then, career centers were a place that you sent a lot of students that were troubled or didn't like academia. And of course that's changed today because, as we all know, with all electronics, you have to be on par and have a certain mentality to do cars today. So like for example, my first year I taught, I had 5 students on probation. But I got to work with those kids and they wound up being some of my best students. And I thought I had a passion for it. I did. I was lucky and found a field that I really, really enjoyed being a part of. How do I exemplify my professionalism to my peers and my students? I would have to say I do that by being a professional myself, by having the right credentials and achieving those goals, but also by helping out. Like when we began to do ASC in the state of Mississippi, I was the first program to do it under the new mandate. And then I went to several other schools and helped them with theirs. I gave out a lot of my work to other schools, pretty well anybody that asked me, and allowed them to see what I had done and to use that to become successful too. Every day my students know that we expect them in my program to live above the line, which is to not just settle for being mediocre, but to be the best they can be as technicians, but as students as well. We use Electude, an online program, to teach our students, and we teach them the highest level we can and prepare them for at least entry level into this field or post-secondary education. The teaching environment from when I started to today has changed drastically. The students that I got in the early days, especially at a rural school, those kids kind of knew their way around tools. Most of them came from farms or a logging industry. Their grandpa, their dad, somebody, a peer had taught them. And so it was just a matter of putting them on track on the automotive field. And of course, technology started growing. When I started teaching, we were using chalk, clapping erasers, and I even remember my first computer was a word processor that wasn't smart enough not to print on the line that you tore. So we've come a long way from that to now, technology-wise. The students have had such a higher expectation for their knowledge base, like in electronics. Like I never taught my students the legs of a transistor and the breakover voltage and how it worked and those kind of things, diodes. None of that stuff was out there back then. Today we teach that. They have to know, intricate electronics. On the other side of that coin too, though, students have changed, I think, emotionally, and a little bit in the sense that, and a little more as far as the level has dropped in a lot of kids, where many of my students have never held a screwdriver. If I say, take that off, they'll say which way's off. And I've had to come down to where we have to start a little more lower and work them up. It doesn't mean they have less success, it just means they weren't given that same starting point. The other thing is, I think kids are experiencing a lot more emotional needs based on social media, a lot of issues that have come up, and so I've had to soften myself and become more have more of a realization as to their needs emotionally, and to help them to walk through these times in life. And sometimes we're spending time working through life problems, not just car problems. Being recognized as one of the instructors of the year and potentially an instructor of the year, of course, means the world to me. It's a higher level recognition. It's basically lets you know as a professional that you've met some standards and that you're up there with your peers. I've read a lot of the bios and the previous instructor of the year and been amazed by them, and really felt like I couldn't compete with that. So feeling the magazine and PB Blaster, feeling that I can, speaks volumes to me and helps me to feel better about the efforts that I've made over my career. And I can't tell you I appreciate it enough.
Dale McCraw, you have made Madison Career and Technology Center, the Madison County School District, your advisory board, many colleges and businesses, and many, many more students proud. On behalf of all of us at Babcock's Media, Tomorrow's Technician, and our friends at Blaster Corporation, congratulations. You're one of our 6 finalists for the National Instructor of the Year Award to be named next May. As you know, for the past several years, we, along with Blaster Corporation, have been telling the stories of really great automotive and technology instructors with our Instructor of the Year program. With Dale on the books for December, we're still looking for 4 more great instructors. Is that you? A teacher you work with or learn from? Tell us his or her story by visiting tomorrowstechnician.com, opening the Contest tab, and filling out the simple Instructor of the Year form today. We might be talking about you next. I'm Doug Kaufman. Thanks for everything you do.